Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through my AFL Fantasy Team preview for round 21, going through all the players, my trade at the moment, my two trades at the moment, and then why I think those two are the best trades, etc. And moving on into, I guess, round 21 as we move into the last 4 weeks, and how much ground I realistically can probably make and how much I'm, I guess, hoping for. So before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the video. So as you can see here, my team, obviously the back six, I'm pretty sure has been the same for what, 4 weeks now, 5 weeks now. Yeah, pretty much the same for 5 weeks and now, I believe, because I got 18, 19, 20. This will be the 4th straight week of these guys doing their thing. I got in there early for all of them, and yeah, so it looks pretty good. Jordan Dawson, I'm expecting good numbers against the Suns. I think that's a really good matchup for him. And then obviously has the tough game against Brisbane, but then has two relatively easier games against the Swans, and obviously the really easy game against the Eagles, which he should be able to really do well against. This afternoon we've heard, this is recorded on Thursday, we've heard some news that, some unsurprising news that Finn McGuinness is going to be inserted into the game to tag Nick Dacos. And so that should potentially limit his numbers, so that's why I will not be going for a VC of Nick Dacos, but I will still be holding Nick Dacos as, he's still gonna do all right. I think what is his low for the year? Low for the year is a 79, so I think he could still do basically that. I just don't think we're gonna see a 130, 140 from him, but I wouldn't be surprised if he still fights through the tag and gets a 131, 140. Sicily, we also heard some news that Frost is out, so unless Blank is coming into the side, it means that Sicily can't really roam as much. I know that Collingwood don't really have as much of a tallish lineup as other sides, but Sicily is going to play as one of the taller defenders, limiting his output. I think he could still do well, as Collingwood could easily have about 30 shots on goal, and with 30 shots he should be looking at least 10 to 12 behind, so that's still 10 or so disposals at least you would expect for him there. So I'm expecting still a 20. Probably an 80, 85 at least from Sicily. Then you have Doherty here. No news on Doherty, but he should be fine with what he's doing. And yeah, he started off pretty well. In my side, I guess, coming back. I don't know when I exactly got him, but I would suspect it would be around round 16. Let me just check. Round 15. Round 16 was the first time I got him. And ever since then, he's done pretty well. I mean, he's gone 113, 115, 88, 138, 87. That's pretty good numbers, to be honest with you. That's an average of, what is his average over 5 games? 106 with me, almost 107. So, yeah, that's pretty good. Sinclair, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a potential someone run with him, but I don't think it'll be the extent of a tag that you're going to see Nick Dacos get. So I'm still expecting a good output from him, and he's got 2 good games before 2 tough games against the Cats and the Lions, but also you need to factor in that the Cats don't seem as strong this year, so I need to actually look at the numbers again. I'll probably look at them next week, and I suspect you'll see that the Cats are actually one of the better teams to play against. Stewart's potential, there is going to be a Power Pepper tag, I believe, or at least a run with him, and last time that happened, I think it was a 66, so expect a low output from him this game. I'm not expecting anything huge, but if he does get something huge, then that's really good, because he is a potential move on if sides do decide to tag him, but I don't think they will, honestly, outside of this next game coming up, and so I'm not too worried about that, to be honest. Bont, he's fine, and yeah, should do well. I wouldn't be surprised if they put someone on him, but I'm not too worried about Bont. Merritt, they're not going to be able to do anything, the Eagles, and he's looking fine, to be honest. Petrarca could actually turn into a captain, to be honest with you. I'm just going to look at Steele's last. Steele is 118s and 117s. And Track is, 111. So I think Steele is still the better captain, but Track does have North Melbourne. And if we look at that North Melbourne matchup last time, he went on and scored, where is it up here, 142. So I would expect somewhere around, not exactly that marker, but I would expect somewhere close enough to that range, as he is still getting his 10 combined tackles and marks, and he still had 29 touches. So maybe not the 35 touches, but still I expect a good output, as I think he can still put up a 120 even with his modified, more forward role. Steele is up to M4 now. I think it was M8 last round. He's just jumped dramatically. Yeah, he was M8 last round and is now M4. I mean, there was some people that went down a little bit, and also Dunkley moved into the forward line, which did help him rise up a little bit. M4, I think that's around about the place that he'll probably go up to M3, to be honest, and Track will end up M4, or Track even M5 if Brayshaw picks it up. But yeah, just really happy with Steele, and he does have the Carlton matchup, which should be good for him, honestly, and then has the Richmond matchup, which should also be good. Brayshaw, tough matchup this week, but then has the Eagles, which should be good, and honestly has 3 gettable games outside of the Lions, and the Lions away from home could be interesting. That was a potential VC, not VC, captain option, but I went for more this safer, I think. Steele against Carlton. If we look at Steele against Carlton last time, it was a 78, which is a little bit disappointing, but I think that was first game back from injury, so he was still wearing a lot of the, his body wasn't up to tip-top shape yet. Crouch, and 133 last week, plays Carlton, pretty much the same as Steele, and I will potentially be looking to move him on, but a 133 might have just swayed me into keeping him. He has been one of the best pickups that I had, and I did pick him up from, when was he? Let's see, round 15 was he? Yeah, round 14 was he? Round 13. I picked him up in round 14, and since then in that time, if I look back here to Crouch, since round 14, he's gone 109, 116, 137, 96, 87, 97, 133. So 30, 19, 15, so 15 up, 31, 68. What's that? 77. So across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's averaging 111 with me. I just did some math. That's 111 he's averaging with me, which is absolutely huge for a guy that was priced, I think, around that 800 or so K when I actually got him. I'd need to go back and check the video, but I believe he was 800 odd K when I got him. And yeah, just really happy with the progress he's made. Parrish, I got him, I think, when did I get Parrish? I think that was 2 weeks ago or so that I got Parrish. Did I get him for this game? I got him, was it his 108 that I got him for? Yeah, it was his 108 that I got him for. So if I'm looking here, Parrish was provided a 108 and a 93, not the best, but still just over the 100 range, and he does have the West Coast Eagles, North Melbourne, and GWS the next 3, which should be profitable matchups. And then we move on to my trade-in for the week, Tom Liberatore. So here is the trades that I made. I made the Himmelberg and Chesser, and I just couldn't get to Roy Laird, so I decided to look for an option where they have really good matchups, and I stumbled across Liberatore, who has Richmond, who I still consider a really good opponent to score against. Then he has Hawthorn, which should be a really good opponent to score against, and then he has the Eagles. And if we look at those 3, if we look at Hawthorn, didn't play against Richmond, 114, and Eagles didn't play against, I don't think so, but we're looking at 3 games where he scored. He hasn't played against 2 of them this year, but the team that he did play against, which was Richmond, the hardest of those matchups, he went 114. So I have a feeling he could easily average 117, 118 across the next 3 weeks, and that would be a top 8 mid pace, to be honest with you. As if we look at all positions, midfielders, last 3, you've got 1, 2 above that, and then you've got Bont, 1, Track isn't, Steele 2, Brayshaw isn't, Brad Crouch isn't, Darcy Parish isn't, and Liberatore sort of is around that 115 last 3 anyway. So that would be on price for about a top 5 mid, and then you take into account they're all mids, but even if you go down to, and he's only averaging about 113, 112, he'd have to average about 111, which I think he can easily average 111 across 3-4 in this last 3 weeks for him to not be in the top 8 straight mids, basically. So I think it's a I think it's a good pod to take advantage of, and I think if he stays below 7%, I think it will be a really good trade-in. Marshall, 114 last week, and yeah, just has the Carlton matchup there in Richmond, and then obviously the 2 tougher matchups. He's a ruckman. He's a top 2 ruckman. I'm just worried about if I go to Gawn whether or not Grundy comes back, and that is the biggest worry about going with Gawn. But going against Gawn is the fact that he's putting up 130, 140s each game, basically. He's put up a 136 last 3. He's gone 162, 115, 131. Absolute ridiculous numbers. He did put up something like 90 in the second half as well against Richmond, and that was against a bad ruckman, but he does have North Melbourne, Carlton, Hawks and the Swans, so you could even look at Grundy in the last round against the Swans if you really wanted to, if you had enough cash to be able to do that, as that looks like if they don't go with a actual ruckman that will be an absolute maul from Gawn. I mean, he played against the Swans, did he? No, he didn't play against the Swans. Grundy played against the Swans, and I think he even put up a huge number against Hickey, so I think that could be an option in round 24. English keeps doing his thing, to be honest, and yeah, just doing his thing. A 153 last week was ridiculous, and plays Richmond, but Richmond have Nankervis back, so you got to look at that. But is certainly a VC option against the Eagles and the Hawks, I think so. Then we move on to Golden. He's doing his thing as well. A couple of tough matchups for him. Dunkley, he's doing his thing as well. A couple of tough matchups for him, but he should be fine. Rosie, tough matchup this weekend, but then has an easier run home, so that should be fine. And then Taranto, tough-ish matchup, but it's against the Bulldogs. They seem to give away a lot of points. St Kilda, them too. North is a tough-ish matchup. North tough. That's just me waffling. North at the MCG, that should be a really just bloodbath for Taranto. Did he play North in the early part of the season, or has he not played North yet? Hasn't played North yet, but even if you look back at the Eagles, he went 117. He's just had a bad couple of weeks, and people are starting to, I guess, worry about Taranto. But I think Taranto's fine, to be honest. Cogs, and he has a really tough run, actually, to be fair. Swans, he'll go 105, I think, against us. Port, that will be a tough game, but he'll probably go 100 or so. Essendon 105 or so, and then Carlton, he'll probably go 110. And then Darcy Cameron just has the Hawks this week, and I'm just hoping he can play well, because this will probably be the last week with him. So hopefully he can play well and get like 100 or something like that, because if he does get 100, then he is averaging 91 last 3. If we look at the forwards, 3-round averages, you've got Sheasel that I'm probably going to hop onto, to be honest, as he's averaging 108. They were easy opponents, but he does have Melbourne this week, and if he scores 100 against Melbourne, I think I'm pretty happy with him playing these last 3 fixtures and trading him back in. Could look at Flanders as well, as he has a good run as well, but those 2 are the 2 guys that I'm really looking at. Could look at swapping out not Stewart, who was it? Was it Sicily? No, not Sicily necessarily. I don't know who it was, but someone had a tough last game, and looking at getting in Sheasel or something like that. But we'll wait and see on that front. And then my bench is pretty much dead at this point, other than Windhagen, hoping Hanson Jr. in a little bit, in just over an hour, gets named out, or not even on the bench for North Melbourne, as that'll be huge for the long emergency, because that'll be huge for, not emergency, he'd be on the extended bench, sorry. That's the words that I was trying to find. Hopefully he's not on the extended bench, because that means that I can definitely loophole. I can play loophole the Windhager and Darcy Cameron, Darcy Cameron plays first. Play him as an emergency. If he doesn't play, then just play the likes of if he doesn't play well, then play the likes of Windhager, and we'll just wait and see on that front. But I do think that Darcy Cameron should be able to score good enough, and if Darcy Cameron does score good enough, then that means that I can look at actually holding him, and but he does have the Geelong matchup, which is a tough matchup, so we'll look and see in that. But that is basically my thoughts, and at the moment I'm looking at Steele, Merritt VC into Steele. I mean, Merritt have they played the Eagles yet? Played the Eagles for a 1-11, and then next week he plays North. He will probably be my VC back-to-back weeks, to be honest with you. As who do they play next week? They play Freo, so you could look at it'll be next week. It'll actually be Merritt again, and then probably into where is it? Yeah, it'll be Merritt into Brayshaw next week. I can already tell you, unless for injuries. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just having the VC on the West Coast matchup or North Melbourne matchup, and the captain on the other one if it suits. But considering I don't like any of my Melbourne players, but it is track, will probably flip between these two, and then hopefully Merritt just makes it easy for me. But we'll see. I could easily go Petrarca. It might be Petrarca actually. Against North, and yeah, that is basically the video there. So if I go back to the main screen, that is my team preview for round 21. It's going to be released on Friday, so remember that what you just saw is before team news. So we don't know necessarily. Ethan Stanley, one of my trade-ins, could easily be out or whatever. And Freo, where's Freo playing? Freo's last game of the round, so if Ethan Stanley's out, then that'll actually help with my I believe that can help with getting my players on, but then again, also, you got to remember that I actually cannot do that because I don't have another midfielder, actually, or another defender to go into that spot there that needs to be filled if he was to transfer into the forward line. So, hopefully, I don't know, he plays or something like that. And I'm just hoping Hanson Jr. doesn't play, because if Hanson Jr. doesn't play, then I can do that swapperoo between Wintega and Cameron. Anyway, that is the video, and I'll see you guys in my game review starting Saturday, I believe. Thanks, guys. Goodbye.